Hello, everyone. Welcome to episode 171 of the J Situation Podcast. I'm recording this on July 18th, 2023. Man, it's hot. I'm just going to say it is hot outside. Are we going to talk about the weather on today's episode? No, we're not. But I will say, man, I've been doing a lot of field activity, and Mother Nature has decided to test us. It is a test. It's cool. No, we're always up for a challenge. You should be too. Just make sure you wear sunscreen and supplement with electrolytes. And for the love of God, don't leave your dog in the car. And just be careful, man. I was actually today, it's funny. Today I was doing some large scale weapons testing outside in the field all day. And, I got back from that work and I have tons of messages from a lot of you. And I'll respond to you when I can. I'm sorry, guys. I got all kinds of emails and messages and everything. And thank you so much for your interest in the research. Thank you for sending me funny memes, stuff like that. I do appreciate all of it. I've just been so busy. I haven't been able to catch up with a lot of that. I do have a relatively efficient episode for you today, I think. I'm going to go through the Abel Company Theorem-L analysis that was published last week, and then I'm going to say goodbye to all of you for a week. That's right, I'm going on vacation, but I will be back in August. Okay, I need this, guys. It's time. It's overdue. For my mental health and everything, we're gonna go. I'm gonna pop smoke and get out of here. So hope you understand that. I hope you are okay with that. So that is what's gonna happen. So let's see how quick I can get through these ad reads. And it's not because it's not like I don't think the sponsors are important. Okay. It's because there's a lot to say, and I know it can get long. But I do write all of these ads, and they come from my brain. No company tells me what to say. I literally say all of it. I say all the stuff that I say every episode because I think all of it. Like it comes from my head, and it's. I say what I mean. I'm not just blowing your skirt up with it. It's my philosophy, and I turn down sponsors all the time. Actually. So the main sponsors of this podcast, they're here because I want them to be here. They're not here. They're here because they want to be, but they wouldn't be here if I didn't want them as well. Take it or leave it. I just don't want you to forget that. It's important. I'm trying to be pretty strict on what I talk about. And so, and if you spend money with these people, that's awesome. And if you don't, that's also awesome. Like, I do not care. I just figured, it's good to have sponsors so I can keep the podcast going. The podcast takes a lot of effort, and having folks that are able to leverage it for their, advertising, like the sponsors, and also believe in the PEW Science mission is cool. And so it's a win-win for everyone involved, and I think it should be a win-win for the listeners because it doesn't cost you anything, right? Just to hear it. So yeah, that's the story about that. All right. So I'm going to read these ads, and if you want to fast forward, that's okay. I literally put timestamps on the topics. If you're on Spotify or whatever other thing you use to listen to podcasts, you can just go to the topic and start listening there. All right? I do that for you. But if not, you want to hear about Legion? The J Situation Podcast is proudly sponsored by Legion Athletics. It is. It's crazy. I took a little bit of pre-workout at the end of the day here. It kind of wore off by now, but I needed it. And I do use their products. Ever since they started sponsoring me, I've been using all their products, and I use them literally every week to work out, to keep up with stuff. It's awesome. They're a dedicated sponsor of the podcast because they use evidence-based information and research to decide what to put in their supplements. Similarly, how PEW Science presents evidence-based research to you, the consumer, about silencers. It's literally a similar company, and you wouldn't think that a company would be in their space that's similar to PEW Science, but it is, and that's what they told me they thought when they saw PEW Science, and that's what I thought when I saw them. So that's pretty wild. So yeah, back to the whole point of this, though. I am a firm believer of a sound mind and a sound body. Physical activity is important, and I do think that if you're going to the trouble of building a workout program or getting in shape or doing anything like that, you need to be consistent, and you're going to be busy. You're not going to have time to cook every meal that you have. So maybe getting nutrients to supplement the food that you need can help you. Okay. And Legion does sell things like that. Okay. They don't have everything that you need, but they have a lot of it. All right. They have whey protein. They got pre-workout. They got post-workout. They got all kinds of stuff. It's awesome. Okay. And the deal we worked out was if you use the code word PEW Science, you get 20% off your first order, which is a lot of money in some cases. And if you keep using it, you'll get double loyalty points with that code. And that means you'll get 10% off everything you ever buy from them. So that's, again, if you're like me and you power lift or you weight lift or you are an athlete that is using supplements a lot, so it's basically like groceries, getting 10% off all the time forever using the code word PEW Science is good. Okay, so I'm sure there's other codes you could use, but hey, the only one I know about is PEW Science because that's literally the only one they gave me, so use that one. All right, and I hope it helps you. And if you have questions about which supplements I use, I'll let you know. Shoot me a DM on social media or email me at tech@pewscience.com. We'll talk about it. It's awesome. I've used a lot of their stuff. It's pretty good. And I'm not just saying that. I actually do use the stuff, and I work out a lot. Always have. So I have a lot of experience with stuff that sucks, and a lot of their stuff does not. Secondly, the J Situation podcast is probably sponsored by Top Gun Range Houston. That's right. Largest rental fleet in the state of Texas. Indoor shooting range. It's awesome. All right. I do think it's a good idea to go there if you're in the Houston area. They're worth checking out. 15-lane indoor shooting range. Pistols, rifles, shotguns, machine guns. Check them out. All right. It's a lot of different stuff you can try before you buy. It's cool. You can even go to topgunrange.com and check out their rental inventory. All right. Go to Instagram, Top Gun Range account. Tell them what's up. They're good guys. We'll be doing another day at the range with PEW Science later this year, I think. I'm just trying to get that all sorted with my schedule. But if you didn't get a chance to come out there last time I was there, come out there again. All right. I'll let you know when it happens. It's basically just a hangout. It's not like a manufacturer event where like you're being pressured to buy stuff from my vendors and stuff. No, I'm not into that. That's not what I do. I want to talk to you just like I'm talking to you right now. I'll answer your questions. We'll talk about guns. Maybe this time we'll have beer. I don't know what they'll let me do. Did I just say something they might not let me do? Absolutely. Am I going to try to make it happen anyway? Absolutely. All right. Yeah. Go check them out. Also, this podcast is brought to you by High-End Armament Technologies. They're up in Tulsa, up in Oklahoma. They are a dealer of exactly that, high-end arms and accessories. They got significant longevity in the machine gun game, the NFA game. If you're having trouble locating something that's rare, hard to find, Robert and his crew at High-End Armament can help you. And in fact, I am probably going to end up using Robert for something not too far in the future. I am looking for a certain test host for something, and I'm probably going to call him tomorrow. And by this time you hear this recording, it'll be today. I need to call him because I'm looking, and I don't even want to tell you what it is yet because I don't know if I can get it, but it might be something that ends up being a standardized host. And I know that sounds weird if it's hard to get, but just trust me, it's the long game. Trust me. So we might be calling on Robert and his folks to get a test host. We're still deciding whether or not we're going to use it. But if you know that if I'm using High-End Armament to find something that I'm not saying you need to use him, but I'm telling you it is a resource. I would not be talking about it if I didn't think it was good. Okay. So check them out on Instagram at High End Arms. They have a Facebook page, which is High End Arms, highendarms.com. I hope they can help you folks out. If you need it, tell them Jay sent you. This podcast is brought to you by Silencer Shop. You can use their kiosk, do your fingerprints and photos electronically. You cut down on errors. You simplify your silencer purchasing process. You get a money-back guarantee. It's pretty good. No transfer fees, no paperwork errors, and just you and your silencer with no drama at all. It truly is silencer ownership simplified. And I am already running out of gas. I'm telling you guys, I need a vacation, and that's why I'm taking one soon. You know what to do with the coupon codes in the show notes. I won't even talk about that. You know you can go to Magpul, use the PS10 code there. You can go to True Shot Gun Club, get ammo. But I do want to say, most importantly at all, even if I didn't have any of these other sponsors, this podcast is truly brought to you by PEW Science. It is the largest sponsor of the J Situation podcast. It is my company. I run it. The member contributions at PEW Science go directly to making this podcast happen, to educate the entire world on silencers. And PEW Science is unequivocally, now and forever, pushing the silencer industry forward, one test at a time. And you can go to the website, pewscience.com. You can go there for the suppression rating. It is the simplest and the most accurate hearing safe rating for suppressed small arms. It's based on true human inner ear response. It's from the entire gun shop, which we'll talk about today in the Abel Company Theorem-L review. It's from the entire gun shop, from before combustion takes place all the way until all the combustion is gone. Super simple concept, but you'd be surprised how many people don't use that. All right? We're doing it, and it works. It's the home of the silencer sound standard. There are 7 sections. It's the most in-depth and accurate silencer data and analysis on the planet. Okay, pewscience.com. Don't sleep. You can support this podcast. You can support PEW Science, the company, all of the testing that is done for you that you consume on the website. You can support all of this by joining with a membership at pewscience.com. It helps make it happen. It would not happen without you. There's a donate function. If you're not into supporting monthly, that's cool. Donate, throw me a bone every once in a while. That's cool too. It helps. And you know what? If you don't want to donate anything, you don't want to pay anything, you're just in this for the love of the game, you just want to listen to it and whatever, that's cool. Totally awesome. But if you could be so kind, please give it a good 5-star rating on your favorite podcast provider, whether that be iTunes or Spotify or smoke signals in your garage, whatever, man. It's awesome. All I want to do is spread this information far and wide so it'll help the most people. That is what I'm trying to do, and it's working. And it's working because of you. That's right. Okay. I have 2 topics for you today. Just 2. Topic 1, Sound Signature Review 6-117. The Abel Company Theorem-L on 308 bolt action. It's the technical discussion of the article that was published last week. It's gonna be cool. It's gonna be cool to review that because there's some neat data in it, and frankly, it's a kind of a neat silencer to talk about. Topic 2. Man. Oh, sorry. Hit my microphone. That was wild. Significant field testing. Significant field testing and analysis activities have occurred this entire summer. I will say that the silencer landscape has changed. It continues to evolve. It's getting a little bit crazy behind the scenes. I just want to say that it's not just me, but PEW Science. PEW Science thanks all of the members and all of you podcast listeners for continued support. And I just want to say that I am popping smoke, and I will return in August, and I'm going to disappear for about a week. And when I say disappear, I'm leaving. All right. I just want to say goodbye to you there. All right. So we'll move into topic 1 in a time of 14 minutes and 23 seconds. I started off this episode by saying it was going to be an efficient episode. There I go, taking 14 minutes as the intro. But hey, whatever. Let me have this mulligan as I get ready for vacation. All right, topic 1, Sound Signature Review 6-117, Abel Company Theorem-L, 308 bolt action. Technical discussion. Article was published last week. This was a neat one This was a neat one for me personally and for PEW Science. Some of you might know this. A lot of you may not know this. Abel Company, they have been a PEW Science testing and analysis client for a couple years now. And they first came to us to do some testing when they were first starting out. They've been making silencers for a couple years, and they have some very talented machinists. They have been testing and shooting and testing and shooting. They've even sent their silencers out to other places to be tested, not just to PEW Science. But PEW Science, being the home of the silencer sound standard and the suppression rating, is able to put silencers on a level playing field and determine truly how the suppression performance stacks up in the market. Okay, so to see Abel to see them continue to advance, and then come to PEW Science with a silencer like this, it's pretty cool because it's a testament to their hard work. It's a testament to their grit, to their determination, to their growth, to their trust in the PEW Science expertise and quality and silencer sound standard pedigree, right? So if there was an endorsement at all for PEW Science, it's tests like these, right? Clients keep coming back. Okay, again and again, clients keep coming back. They keep coming back again and again. Why? Because it works. That's why. They come back because it works. Okay? So what is this thing? Let me get a drink of water 1 second. So what even is this silencer? What is this? So it's another 30 caliber silencer. You say, "Oh, Jay, thanks for showing us another 30 caliber silencer. You've never shown us those before." No, there's so many. There's so many, and why? You might ask yourself, why are there so many 30 caliber rifle silencers? Well, you can shoot a lot of stuff through a bore like that, can't you? You can shoot 5.56 all the way to 30 caliber Magnum rounds, really, like 300 PRC, for example, or maybe 300 Norma Magnum, for example. Okay. But before we get super deep into the technical discussion, it reminds me, it is important to note that people have been using this Theorem-L silencer on Magnum rifles in competition. And some folks just won a competition with this silencer. A couple of silencers in the team that won. And it was the Night Force, the folks that make some really neat scopes. I don't know if you use Night Force scopes. I do. They put an extreme long range competition on the extreme long range competition where you shoot at it long range. It's in the name. You're like, oh, thanks for explaining that. So as a team of shooters using the Theorem-L silencers, they were using it on 300 Norma Mag guns. They were able to win that competition in June. The Night Force ELR match. So they just won that. They just did that. And so I bring that up because although we're going to be talking about 308 bolt action sound signature of this silencer, the Theorem-L, people need to know that you can use this on more powerful 30 caliber cartridges, not just 308. And this silencer, it's intended to be a precision rifle silencer. Okay, that's what it's for. Now, a lot of folks talk about making precision rifle silencers. I've heard it again and again, and some silencers are actually used in precision applications, and they've worked very well doing it. There's some of them I want to mention, and it's not an exhaustive list. Okay, it doesn't include everyone, but there's some that people keep talking about when people talk about accuracy and precision, and silencers helping that or not negatively affecting that. And those are CGS and Thunder Beast. When it comes to rifle, like you put an Ultra 9 or a Hyperion on a gun, and you're probably going to be doing all right. Hyperions are shrinking groups. All right. I mean, it's really, really precise. And there are others. There's certainly others, okay? And especially some newer companies, too. And there's more every day. There's more silencer companies every day coming out with proven precision cans. Now, Abel Company, they're another one of those new companies that's coming out with a precision rifle silencer. And it's interesting to talk about that aspect of rifle silencers. Silencers that are not going to make your rifle... my rifle's groups open up or something. What are some ingredients? If you're baking a cake here, what are some ingredients that makes a rifle silencer, or that make a rifle silencer perform well in the precision department on a rifle? You may not think about this, but so what are some things that can help, and what are some things that can hurt? Okay. Oh, 1 second. I'm sorry. I was outside all day. And I was talking a lot to my team, and I've just been talking a lot all day, and my throat's really dry. I was saying, what are some things that can help, and what are some things that can hurt with regard to precision on a suppressed precision rifle? Regarding the silencer. So we can list some. We can talk about some. And we'll miss some. We're not going to hit everything, but let's talk about some major ones. The first one is management of turbulence, and he goes right back to the listener questions, doesn't it, guys? Remember, we talked about this. We've talked about this before. Gas flow around the bullet, cross jetting, all kinds of dynamics inside the silencer are important. All kinds of things inside the silencer are important. Some of the things that folks do to kind of manage some of the reflections from the precursor flows and some other stuff is like using a symmetrical blast baffle, things like that. It's only a small part. It's only a small part of managing that, but that's one example. Another thing that I think is really important, and I think you all know this is important, you just don't know you know it, is concentricity. And it's a pretty big one. Like, let's say, for example, you're welding a silencer, right? Let's say you're welding a silencer. When you're welding that silencer, you're putting heat into it, right? Yeah, you guys know that. Well, what happens if you start to warp it? What? All your baffles are now misaligned because you didn't. Now, what are you going to do? You're going to EDM it now? You're going to EDM the bore now because your silencer's not straight? Okay. Well, if you EDM it, what happens if you have a removable end cap? Does that hole what happens if you remove the end cap and put it back? Now what happens? Yeah. It's probably not good, right? I have a pistol silencer from a manufacturer that I won't even name them, but you can use your power of you can use your Sherlock Holmes skills. I have a pistol silencer that's modular and it's EDM'd. Does that make sense to you? It's modular with like 11 baffles in it, and it's EDM'd. Does that make sense to you? Shouldn't. That thing is like, what? It's going to be EDM'd in the right spot, and no, it's not. Yeah, how are you going to get those baffles? How are you going to get those baffles lined up? You know what I mean? It's like, what a joke. Not good for accuracy. So that's one thing about concentricity. What about, that's one thing that completely destroys things. What about your mount? What about the silencer's mount? Who makes it? Who makes your mount? Did you make it? No. Did it come with a silencer? Did the mount that you did the mount you buy come with a silencer? No. How is it shaped? What does the mount do? What does the gas do in the mount? Do you know that? Is your barrel threaded right for that mount too? Do you know that? Do you shim your muzzle device at all? What? You over torch your muzzle device? What would that do to the threads? You use the wrong type of shim? Look at this, man. I'm just going through stuff that affects concentricity. It ranges everything from how the silencer is welded to how it's made to the mount you use to how the mount's installed. All of this stuff affects all that. And this is just like some things to think about. And why? What's something you want to happen when you're shooting a precision rifle? Well, you want repeatability, don't you? You want repeatability, don't you? You want consistency, right? Why? Well, you're trying to do something the same every time, right? You want to be predictable. You want predictability, and you want to be predictable. Predictable is good when it comes to small arms. Excuse me. Predictable is good when it comes to small arms. Okay. Surprises are bad, mostly. Surprises when it comes to small arms are mostly bad. I can tell you that right now. Trust me. So keep it in mind. I want to bring that up right now. I want you to keep that in mind when we go through this because I'm going to talk about something. Right. Another thing I want to talk about is the name of this thing. Theorem-L. Yeah, it's interesting. Some of you may have caught this. Some of you may have not. It's an interesting name, right? Theorem. Why would they call a silencer a theorem? Interesting. So you see the design on the outside. I just picked up the silencer. I have it here in front of me. The design on the outside of the silencer, it's kind of neat looking, right? Well, it is no coincidence between the name of the silencer and the design on the silencer. The Abel guys talked to me about this. I was tickled about it, so I thought I would tell you about it. The Abel guys let me know that this is super on purpose. It's super on purpose stuff, and again, I got a kick out of it. I had to look some of it up because some of it was a little new to me. Some of it I knew, but some of it I didn't. I was like, I kind of learned a little something. So I figured we'll learn together. I'll talk about it a little bit now. So a long time ago, there was a guy named Archimedes, and he was smart. And in the 3rd century BC, around 2,000 years ago or so, give or take, Archimedes developed a mathematical proof that there are 13 cases of special polyhedra that have certain properties. There's not 12 cases. There's not 14 cases. No, there's 13. There's only 13. So, if you have a convex shape, okay, and each face of that shape is made of a regular polygon, okay, and all the corners of the shape look the same, and the shape's not a prism, and all the sides aren't the same polygon, what do you call that meets those qualifications? You call it an Archimedean solid. And there's only 13 of them ever possible. There's only 13. Okay? Archimedes proved this. This is not a geometry podcast, so we're not going to go into the proof. But you can Google that, and it'll blow your mind, dude. It's true. So there's 13 of them. So one of those solids, and you ready for this word? One of those solids is called a rhombi rhombiisosododecahedron. Rhombiososododecahedron. Say that 3 times fast. It's like the word rhombus, but rhombi-isosa, like an isosceles triangle, dodecahedron. You know what a dodecahedron is, okay? Rhombi-isosododecahedron. If you take that shape And I had to write that word down to say it because I'm still not up on it. If you take that shape and you project it, you project part of it in 2D, and you lay it flat, you know what it looks like? It's the machining on the Theorem-L. And it's named after the theorem from Archimedes. So, I thought that was cool. It is completely irrelevant to the performance of the silencer. Has nothing to do with the signature at all. But, I don't know. It looks cool. And you know what? A bunch of people commented about the design, that it looked cool in the silencer. So, yeah, it should look cool because it's one of 13 Archimedean solids projected onto a silencer. So, mathematically, it's objectively cool looking, right? So 2,000 years ago, they figured it out, right? Not yesterday, 2,000 years ago. So yeah, I had to mention on the podcast because, 2 millennia went by and you get Archimedes. And by the way, they lost it. They lost the proof. He did it. They have proof that they didn't lose the proof. They lost. I'm pretty sure they lost like his original works, but they know that he did it 2,000 years ago. Isn't that wild? I just thought that I learned some history about that when I was reading about it. Anyway, so let's get into the data. Go ahead, pull up the review on pewscience.com. Sound signature review 6117. It's the 117th article. It's cool, right? And I know this is dragging on, guys. I hope this is not like boring you. But I know that a lot of times people match my energy on this podcast, and I am trying to push through this for you guys. But it is hard. Okay, we're going to do it, though. We just got one more before vacation, baby. I can feel the finish line right now. Bottom line up front, 47.2 composite suppression rating on the 20-inch through 8-bolt action. The most popular host for silencer use. 32.4 at the muzzle, 46.9 at the ear. Actually, guys, it's pretty quiet. I'm gonna say it is. So what is it though? What is the Theorem-L? How is it doing this? I don't like to just talk in generalities. I like on this podcast, if you're just joining, thank you for listening. I like to look at the hard data. I like to look at the technical data to understand the sound signature. And the best way to do that I've found, both for myself in the analysis and for listeners to explain it, is to start with the fingerprint. They're all unique. And so what we can do is go to the fingerprint in figure 1 of the review. If you scroll down, I have the member review up, but if you want to follow along with the free version, that's perfectly fine. So the member review, I have it on pewscience.com, review 6/117. I'm going to scroll down past the table with the peak values. We don't really need to talk about those. We can talk about what's in figure 1, figure 1A, and figure 1B. Okay, now I'm going to do a little experiment for some of you that may not look at this much. If you blur your eyes and you look at the overall shape of the pressure traces in figure 1A, what does it look like? It starts high, right? And then it gradually goes to nothing. But what does it look like? It has curvature to it, right? It has curvature to it. It's like you're going down a slope. What is that physically? That's blowdown. So what are you seeing visually in figure 1A? What you're seeing is the pressure out of the silencer blowing down over time, and then you're seeing it equalize with atmospheric pressure, aren't you? That's right. And that's what you would expect. That's what you would expect there. And for silencers that let gas out more slowly, the time on the horizontal axis, the time that's labeled there, over which the silencer blows down, it increases. That time increases because it takes longer to blow down when they hold the gas in longer, right? So when you look at that plot at around 95 milliseconds or so, you can see that the sound Well, the pressure, which is what we call the sound pressure, has diminished greatly, right? It's gone way down. So what would that signify to you? Well, that would signify that the signature measured at that location was almost over, right? We're almost done when it gets really, really small, right? So you understand all that, right? The answers to all of those questions I just asked you, they're rhetorical, and the answer is yes. All of them are like, yes, yes, yes. You're like, You're nodding your head. Yeah, yeah, yeah. So if that shows the entire signature at the sensor, and you can tell that it's the entire signature, just due to logic, why would you look at only part of it? Why would you look at only one peak? One tiny part of those waveforms. Why? There's a ton of data there. We're sampling once every microsecond. Why would you only look at one of those points when you have the entire thing? If you knew the entire signature was there, why would you only look at one part? Well, if you were PEW Science, you wouldn't. You would look at the whole thing, right? Right? So there you go. Save it for a rainy day if you want. I mean, take that, put it in your brain and file it away, and there's stuff that's like, like important stuff. Always remember, if they're not showing you the whole signature, they don't have it. And if they aren't doing this at a very fast speed, it doesn't have the right shapes. And if they don't have the whole thing, and it's not the right shape and it's not correct, what good is it? The answer is it's not good. Okay? Do you want to see what a shape looks like when it's correct? There's a reason we do it this way. And I will show you what it looks like when it's correct by looking at the shape of the combustion in the free field when you zoom in on the waveform collected like this. And that's in figure 1b. Okay? That's the fingerprint. The gas gets into the silencer and starts to make a boom sound inside the silencer before the pressure even gets out of the silencer. And you know how loud that gets? Or let me use a different word. You know what the amplitude of that pressure is in free air that propagated through the silencer wall? I'm not talking about that came out of the silencer. I'm talking about in the silencer that propagated through the silencer wall to the sensor in free air. It's 125.4 decibels. And that's before gas even comes out. I labeled it in the figure to show you. That's part of the fingerprint of the silencer. All right, 1 second. If you crawled into a long metal sewer pipe and someone was outside of the pipe, but not near the end of the pipe, and the pipe was really long, they're outside the pipe, you're on the inside of the pipe, all right? And you yelled inside that pipe, your voice would be transmitted through the walls of the pipe to the outside. You agree? Yes? Sound can travel through metal? Yes? Okay. The guy at the end of the pipe would not hear you first. I'm sorry. It wouldn't. He would not hear you. The guy next to the pipe would hear you first. Okay? That's what's happening at 30 milliseconds in figure 1b. All right? You can see the explosion happening in the silencer transmitted through the silencer walls to the air and then to the sensor. Then you see the bullet leave, and the gas in front of and behind it, it nests together in that signature, and that's what you see as the first jet. Okay? Then you see what? What do you see right after that? FRP happening, first round pop. The first shot starts to run away. Typical. Old hat. This is old hat PEW Science stuff. Old hat. All right. PEW Science experts, you're listening to this, you're nodding your head. You're like, you say, yep, that's definitely FRP, got it, next question. They're right. It's Mickey Mouse. This is Mickey Mouse stuff for you guys now. All you guys listening, all you guys. You already have the t-shirt. You've been there. You got the t-shirt. All right, cool. But be patient. I'm building to this. Now, go to figure 2. You go to figure 2. We've already looked at pressure. We just did that. You're done. Cool. Now it's time to look at pressure projected over time. The momentum transfer potential of the pressure waves. Okay, you're adding a complication now. This is called impulse. And in the impulse regime, you can see the momentum generated by the bullet shock in the first jet. We just talked about that first jet. What is the momentum generated by it? It all collects shortly after 30 milliseconds, like you would expect. It's first. But then what happens? Well, muzzle blast happens. That's one thing that comes out of the silencer after the bullet leaves. And boy howdy, during the first shot, do you see that collect some momentum, don't you? Ooh. As I say in the article for the silencer, the first round pop of the Theorem-L on this platform is noticeable to bystanders. Now, that should be no surprise. Okay? Should be no surprise to you. But now let's talk about some other stuff going on, and we'll bring this back to our earlier consistency discussion. Okay? We'll talk about consistency. I've heard again and again some people. I heard it from a silencer designer, a manufacturer of a very large silencer company. He talked about no one ever talks about consistency. Okay, well, okay, let's talk about it then. Oh, I only talk about it all the time. Let's talk about it more. All right. There's something that happened. There's something that happened in the test with a Theorem-L. You know, sure, we had FRP divergence. But there were some events in shot 4 and shot 5 that were very interesting. And all of a sudden, in early time, after initial jetting, there was subsequent jetting during shot 4. But it was only there for an extremely brief period of time. Okay? Right after it happened, it went back to normal. And you can see that in the impulse histories. It's in the picture. Okay, it's on the website. You don't have to, it's literally in color. Now in shot 5, it looks like it tried to happen again, but it was much less pronounced. Okay, it's much less pronounced in shot 5. It looks like it tried to happen again, but it didn't quite happen. Okay. And in fact, after it tried to happen, it went away even more quickly. That's right. But overall, the impulse accumulation rate seemed to increase in shot 5, which was a little interesting. The slope got a little steeper. Interesting. So, as they say now, I've heard this parlance before. Well, let's unpack this. I keep hearing more people say that term. Can we unpack that? It's like it's some kind of weird, like, I don't know. Yeah, I guess it's another word. It's another way to say let's explain it further. It's like people just like making up words now, making up phrases. One of the first things we do, I'm gonna tell you right now how to unpack this. One of the first things we do when we see something happen with measured combustion that differs from subsequent shots is to see when it presents, and for how long, and how. What is its nature? What is the waveform showing? What is it? What is the event? So in examining the waveforms, you actually wouldn't even know about this at all from a peak dB measurement. You wouldn't even see it if you used the peak dB measurement. You wouldn't see it. You wouldn't see it. Not unless you're some kind of computer man. If you're like, I am analyzing it with my brain. Like, no. You have to use No, you have to do it like this. You can't just like make things up, right? It's impossible. So you wouldn't even know from a peak dB measurement. So if you didn't look at impulse, you wouldn't even know. You wouldn't even know about this. You wouldn't even be talking about it. No one would be talking about it at all. You know but besides looking at what I've just shown you in figure 2, 2A and 2B, besides figure 2A and 2B, you know the only other way you would even know this is happening? You know what you would have to do? You would have to shoot the gun. How do I know that? Because the analysis actually shows that shot 4 and shot 5 were louder to bystanders. That's right. And the analysis also shows that the deviation in the data doesn't occur during overall combustion. Blowdown. So what does that mean? It means that this is happening in the silencer, is what it means. Independent of ammunition. This is a silencer-driven phenomena, not a test phenomena. Okay? So, you understand what I'm saying? That's a big statement. Okay? My computer is doing something weird. Hold on. So I'm going to say it again. This is a silencer-driven phenomena and not a test-driven phenomena. One theory here is that the ported blast baffle, it has a ported blast baffle. Did I mention that already? I don't remember. And I did in the article. And the notches in the silencer are opposing in different sets of baffles. So the ported blast baffle with the opposing baffle notches, some people call those clips, whatever. They're mill cuts. They're notches. The theory is that as you shoot this silencer, this is my theory based on data. As you shoot this silencer and it heats up, the atmosphere heats up, the materials heat up, the gas environment changes, you start to jet faster, but it has enough baffles to tame the propagation. It's big enough, it's long enough, it has enough baffles, you're not running away. We've seen this heat-affected stuff happen with the night silencer with an NT4 too, if you remember. This silencer, it does its job. It can sound a little differently. The more you shoot it, as you shoot the gun, it's not crazy. It just happens. It's actually a relatively primitive design. And that's not a knock on Abel. It is. This is not complicated. The reason I'm going into such detail talking about what many people just might see as a little blip in the data is because this is a precision rifle silencer, okay? Now, ordinarily, maybe you would think, well, maybe that could be a performance factor for precision. Because again, you want to talk about consistency, right? Well, most of the time when the signature overall is consistent, the silencer is consistent performing. I mean, overall, they seem to go hand in hand, combustion propagation and accuracy. And why is that? Well, because there's a turbulence factor. Okay, let's not get too far off track, but I'm telling you kind of this background here. You think about this when you see this and you're like, oh my gosh, is this going to change repeatability? Because you do have what looks like to be an anomaly in the combustion when it's more in the propagation. Now, I would say that there are some factors support the opposite being true. For example, one factor is that, well, there was 2 contest winners using the silencer with 300 Norma mag on precision guns. So there's that, right? Oh, it's not a 308 test, but that's one factor, right? The other is that the rest of the combustion chain and the blowdown is fine. It's all relatively consistent. But perhaps the most glaring thing here that supports it not being a problem is the time at which it happens. That deviation, it's actually happening way after the bullet's already gone. It's late time, guys. I know it looks like it's early time to you early in the history, but with regard to the bullet, it's long gone. How do you know that? Because a lot of people tell, I've heard this before. People say, I don't know if the people saying this are just like, they're just trolling, or I don't know what. They say things like, man, I don't even know if it's real. He's not even showing us the video of the testing. I'm like, okay, well, cool. You definitely don't need a video, because no video is going to show you this. What I'm going to show you right now is exactly what I told you about a few minutes ago. We have all of this time mapped in the waveforms. When you look at the early time accumulation in figure 2b of shot 4, that happens at, well, not approximately, at almost exactly 30.8 milliseconds in the history. You go back to figure 1b and look where 30.8 milliseconds is on the horizontal axis, and look what's happening in the history. Look at the combustion history. Okay? That's way after the bullet's gone, guys. It's you can prove it just looking at that. And then you can see how you can see. And if you say, well, how do we know that's the same time scale, Jay? How do we know that's the same? You could have faked that. How do we know that's the same time scale between figure 1A and figure 1B? Because they're matched on the integration. It's literally calculus. It's mapped mathematically. It's mathematically there on the website. You can't fake it. It's literally the integral of the waveform is figure 2. So the bullet's gone out of the silencer, and that's when that accumulation happens. So this overall it's interesting because, right? This is interesting, right? Because now when you look at this, you're thinking, well, does that mean there is no chance of some other gas dynamics happening that are inconsistent inside the silencer prior to bullet exit? Like, if you're thinking, well, if it happened after the bullet left, did anything happen early on? Maybe. Does this prove that nothing happened early on? Well, no, it doesn't prove that. No, it certainly doesn't prove that. But it also doesn't show it moving a bullet. Okay. So I thought that was interesting. I wanted to report it because it also, I think it needs to be talked about because it's in the data. Now you know at least a little bit more about it. It's not maybe just a random blip to you. Sometimes I want to do this. Sometimes I want to take a little thing like that seemingly you think doesn't matter, and it might not matter, but I want to explain to you why it might not matter. And so that when you look at these waveform charts, you can be more educated and think more. And if you see something and say, Jay, why do you think this part happened? I can say something like, I don't know. Or, I don't know. That's interesting. Let's look more into that. Okay? Why not? Why can't we have those discussions? The data's here. It's raw. It's right there. I'd love to talk about it with you. I have no greater joy than to examine the research. It's the whole point of PEW Science. Okay? So I want to go over this with you. And, some people might say, oh, well, he talks about things that don't matter. It's like, well, they don't matter to you, but you're not trying to make sure this is all right. So, of course, it wouldn't matter to you. Naysayer, imaginary person guy. Yeah, 1 second. Okay, moving on. Well, I'm going to scroll down here. I'm in the member review. You'll see it's important. If you're a member, gosh, I talk about first round pop of the silencer, but I talk about first round pop to the shooter in the member review. I think it's very important. If you're going to use the silencer, if you're a member, please check that out. It's member data. I think you're going to find it helpful. I don't write stuff in there just for my health. It's actually for your health. You really want to get strict with this. It is literally for your hearing damage risk. I do want to talk about it with you. So please read that. If you're a member, you will find value in that, especially if you're interested in the silencer. Sound field matters. Now, I think for everyone listening, some of you, I might lost some of you. It's okay. I understand. You've got to break some eggs to make an omelet. But I think for everyone, we can talk about one of the most important parts of this research. And that is, how does the Theorem-L stack up to the competition? It's a good question. Because after all, that is the power of all of this, isn't it? Isn't it? The suppression rating is a consistent, objective, and extremely powerful metric. It is. So what did I do? I did something I do a lot. I put a typical bar chart in the review for comparison. I didn't want to mess with all of the silencers, so I'm like, you know what? Let's just look at Omega zone 6 and above. I needed a way to sort them, a way to delineate. I don't want to put the bar chart that's so big it looks like an eye chart. Let's just put these in here. There's a ton. There's so many damn 308 data. If you look at go to the ranking section if you want to look at this in a different way with all of them. Okay, but let's just focus on the stuff that's quiet right now. Now, the competition in this segment of the market is stacked. Okay, the Theorem-L, it's actually sitting where you would think it would be sitting. It's slightly outperforming the Thunder Beast Ultra 9. Okay, if you're a precision rifle guy, this is basically like an Ultra 9 system that's a little lighter, it's a little quieter, offers great precision capability. I think probably if you get a new Ultra 9, maybe there's like a different mount that makes it light. I don't care. It doesn't matter. I'm just similar. One of the differences I think you're going to notice, I've heard this, I haven't tested it, but the geometry of the silencer does support this theory. One of the differences between Thunder Beast Ultra 9 and this thing is probably the recoil impulse of the system, like the shape of the impulse, and that's probably due to the I don't know. Folks are talking about it that are shooting them. They're saying the Theorem-L is not as snappy. I do not have any data to support it, but it could be. They're saying that. I'm guessing it's probably due to the blast baffle porting. It's an alpha perimeter thing. It's not driven by Omega. Nope. You can see Omega is comparable between the two silencers when you look at the Omega chart. They're very similar Omegas. I think it's early time wave dynamics that's up front. That's alpha. That data is not available yet. It would make sense given the porting, I think, that's happening. If you shoot it, let me know. I didn't shoot them back to back to measure recoil impulse, so I don't know. Okay, but another thing I think it's important to note. One thing I think folks might have noticed, and if not, you should notice this: the Aero Precision Lahar 30L. Yeah, it's right there with this thing, isn't it? And it's a lot smaller. And it's steel and it has an Inconel blast baffle, and you can put it on a machine gun. So you see what's possible now with all these technologies, and sometimes the net signature suppression you get from a smaller silencer is similar to a larger silencer. And that's powerful information. And the baffle designs and the silencers between the Lahar series and this, they're different. This thing has basically clip cones with a ported cone blast baffle. It's not complicated. So the baffle design between those two silencers are different. The size and the diameter is different, but here we are, and the sound suppression performance is very similar. So now, what do you have? You have this level playing field now. This level playing field. I think it's interesting what some smaller and shorter silencers can do. This data really shows you when you get to this range of the market, you have to do some incredible things to outperform certain stuff. You have to really pull out. You have to use different techs, right? It gets crowded. It's crowded in here, dude. If you're a PEW Science member, look at the data visualization tool. In the member ranking section, if you scroll down past the table, remember there's a data visualization tool. I hope you know it's there. It's color coded. There's dots. Select 308. Look at where the crowds happen in that chart. There's a big crowd in the middle. Then there's a small crowd around this silencer, right? And then there's a group up off and to the right where the Hyperion and the Nomad L live. See what's happening? You got packs. They're forming packs. And each pack sometimes uses the same technology, or it might be using derivative technology. Like Nomad has a lot of Hyperion in it. If you don't like me saying that, I'm sorry I insulted the physics of life. I don't even know what to tell you, but I'm not in the mood right now to pull punches, and I'm tired. And frankly, like, I've seen people discussing things on the internet. It's like, just relax. You guys don't even know what you're saying. Like, you're saying some things. It's like you don't even know how this. It's like, oh my God. It's like if you only knew what the technology came from. There's some overlap in a lot of this text, and I will not apologize for highlighting it because it's real and it's geometry and it is reality, and we in PEW Science works in reality. We don't deal with make believe super happy fun time. All right, so excuse me. There are some things that there are actually, and frankly, I'll say this too. There are some things that almost do what this silencer does on 308. And they're way smaller than the silencer. You got Helios QD-TI. You got Liberty Precision Machine Anthem S. No, again, but those are outliers, right? They are. So there you go, though. You see what I'm talking about? I'm telling you, every time I do a 308 review now on a bolt action, it's like, oh my gosh, the data set's so big. A lot of you don't even care. You just look at the chart. You're like, nah. It has this performance. It's this long. Don't care. I want something shorter because I know it's possible. Isn't that crazy? Or you say, you know what? That's cool. It's just as big as this other silencer. It's lighter. Oh, it's accurate too. Now I know it's an option. Or I have a theorem. Now I know how it stacks up. Or I was looking at one. Now I know how it stacks up. There's all kinds of different ways to use the data. Okay? And so use it however you like. But just know it's there. All right. So I'm going to wrap this up. All in all, I think it's an interesting silencer. I really do. There's actually, I was talking to the guys who make it, man. It's, they do not EDM the bore of the silencer. They don't get it hot enough to warp it when they weld it. It's got super low run out. It's very concentric. I have numbers. I don't want to quote them because they're like really small. Contact the manufacturer for that. Excuse me. They posted a video of a run out of a freaking dial indicator measuring run out. I don't even know. In fact, even then, if they post that video, you know what someone's going to say? Well, they could fake it. And it's like, well, they probably aren't faking it. But you know what? It's like, no matter what you do, whether it's like you write a review, you test silencers in the most in-depth, accurate, and like most detailed way in the history of the planet Earth, and you write it down in excruciating detail, and you do 171 episodes of this podcast, and you do 117 articles. Even if you do that, there's always going to be one guy who's like, nah, I don't trust it. And it's like, okay, it's like you got to learn, and so don't get discouraged. You basically got to learn. You got to say, you know what? No matter what you do, no matter, you can be the sweetest, biggest, most plump, juiciest peach in the whole wide world. And some people just don't like peaches. You know what I mean? So if you like this, if you know what I mean? So this silencer is not for everybody. It's not cheap. I was told that. And then, you know what they told me? They're like, you know what? This silencer is like, it's awesome. It's high quality, and that is something I do want to say. I can't believe I forgot to talk about this. I will say this, and this is, hey, it's my podcast. I didn't put this in the review because it's a subjective thing, but I'm going to talk about it right now because I do think it's important, and I think every silencer guy, I know some people say they don't care about this, but I am at the end of the day, PEW Science notwithstanding, I am a silencer guy. I am telling you, I am holding the silencer in my hand right now. This is one of the nicest silencers I have ever touched in my entire life, and I have held more silencers than I guarantee most of you have. Okay, and I am telling, and did they cherry pick this one for me? I don't know. Let them, because if they can make a silencer like this for me. I don't think so, because guess what? I'm Form 3ing this back to them. I'm not keeping this. All right. People are like, oh, Jay just tests to get free silencers. Oh, if only. No, I'm Form 3ing this back to them. It's just It's just the test specimen. They're going to use this as a demo unit. I don't need the silencer. I've already tested. I'm done with it. I'm going to form 3 it right back to them, and they're going to do whatever they want with it. I'm telling you, I'm holding the silencer. The machining, the finish, the feel of it, the lines. The end cap is actually removable, and when you look at, like, it doesn't even, like, it's just everything is aligned. Like, I'm telling you, and I don't want to, I know I'm going to get in big trouble with probably the entire make-believe important silencer internet dealer network people, whoever they are. I would get in trouble if I compared this to a major silencer brand's quality. So I'm not going to say any other names, but I'm telling you, pick up this silencer and look at it and touch it, and then pick up a bunch of other different brands. I am not telling you to buy a Theorem-L. I don't care what you buy, frankly. It doesn't matter to me at all. But I want you to know that some products that exist exude a quality when you hold them that is higher than others. And I know that it's a largely subjective, it is a subjective statement. That's why I didn't write it in the review. But I feel like if I didn't tell you that and you held this, you'd be like, Jay, why didn't you tell me it was so awesome? And I'd be like, I didn't want to put subjective stuff in the review. And you'd be like, well, why didn't you tell me on the podcast? I'd be like, maybe I should. And that's why I'm saying it now. I'm telling you, dude, it's universal back end. It's pretty. Some of the best machining I've ever seen on a silencer in a long time. Excellent fit and finish. The runout's low. Proven to be a good precision silencer. It has an interesting name. There's a crazy shape on it. I'm gonna try to say it again. Oh, what's the name? Oh, hold on. Rhombi isosododecahedron. Oh, I got it in the first try. What is up? That should tell you I don't edit the podcast because I tried like 6 times earlier. So yeah, man, it's proven to be good in competition. It seems to be doing great overall. There you go, man. Thanks to Abel. Thanks to Abel Company for trusting me to perform this work. You guys are really great. You've been sticking with PEW Science for a long time. Even a long-time PEW Science client. You're also a corporate PEW Science member. You also support the effort. That's wild. It's also a bonus helping out. You know what they told me? Abel was like, you know what? All we want, Jay, all we freaking want is a third party to show people that, like, our silencer works. Like, that's what companies are telling me. When a company comes to PEW Science, they're not coming, some companies come to PEW, there have been companies that come to PEW Science. You know what they thought? I have a company, an employee of a company that he no longer works at a silencer company. He told me this. He quit or whatever. He told me a silencer company came to PEW Science and they wanted to do testing with me. And they wanted to contract with me, which means they pay for professional services. They wanted to do that because they thought if they did that, they could buy a high suppression rating. Can you believe the most insane craziness that they would think that would, like, could you imagine? Look how many companies have paid for professional laboratory evaluation services. They all have different suppression ratings on the silent. Like how would I well, you're paying for this one. Oh, if you pay me $1 million, you can get. It's like, are you insane? Isn't that crazy? So I'm going to tell you, there are people like that out there, so be careful. But most of the companies that come to PEW Science for testing, they are so great and the people are so sweet and they're so nice. And they're so hardworking, and they're so honest, and they just want a third-party evaluation to show the hard work they've done, and they want to show it on the level playing field we've created here. And Abel is one of those companies. They're good guys. They're doing good work. They just wanted to show, you know what? We've tested this a lot. We've shown it to other people. People are shooting them. They like them. Let's see what you get. And then we tested it and we got what we got. And they're like, that's awesome. That's exactly that lines up with our experience. And I was like, cool. I consider this project complete. It was complete after I published the article, but I don't, these podcasts I do about these silencers, this has nothing to do with the contract. There is nothing in a PEW Science contract that has anything to do with the podcast. I can tell you that right now. I do these podcasts because I want to explain the research to the people that want to know about it. Okay? And that's what I did over this past hour or so, and I hope it was useful. And big thanks to Abel for trusting me to perform the work. I'll say it again and again. I won't stop thanking people. Okay? I hope it helps all you. I hope it helps more people as the review proliferates. Okay? Okay. Let's move in topic 2, a time of 1 hour, 10 minutes, and 53 seconds. Okay. Oh my gosh. Topic 2, significant field testing. Significant analysis activities have occurred this summer, as recently as this weekend. This silencer landscape is heating up. I put some teaser stories on the social medias there, on the Instagrams. I've said things like, what did I say the other day? Is it still there? Where's my phone at? Hold on a second. Oh, let's see. Do I even have it up? I don't even know. No. It's expired. I said something. I can't remember what I said. I posted something like, the silencer game is getting crazy. Get some popcorn. Be ready. It's heating up, or something. Like I was trying to tell you how incredibly insane things are behind the scenes right now, and the industry, it's evolving right now. Some things are happening. I've tested some things that I just think are a little wild. I think they're things that you're actually going to get. And it's like whenever you just walk into a party and like, I don't know, okay, that's what I'm actually about. You know what a really interesting analogy would be? If an apt analogy would be, you walk in, there's a room full of people, you look in, the music stops, everyone looks at you, you take a hand grenade and you throw it in the room, and you just walk out. It's like, there's stuff that is just I don't even know. I think we're on the precipice of some things that are going to happen that no one's ready for. And I just wanted to tell you that before I go on vacation, because I can't hold in my excitement. I can't hold in my curiosity. I think it's crazy. So yeah, I think it was it this weekend? No, because I was busy working the whole weekend. Was it last week or Monday? It was some day. Someone was talking about the Jesse James Aerosonic silencer. And it was just recently brought up again for some reason. I don't know why. And someone asked me on social media, they asked me if I could talk about the Jesse James Aerosonic silencer on the podcast. We don't have time today. If you remind me, I'll hit it in August when I get back. For the record, I do believe I have spoken about that on the podcast a few years ago. I do not remember the episode, but I know I've talked about it. It was an early episode, so it might have been around the time I launched PEW Science. So look into 2020 time. Around May of 2020, could be late 2020. I talked about it. I will say right now, for the record, I don't think that silencer would actually perform horribly for what it is. That I have a theory about it. I don't know. Perhaps I'll test it. I don't know. We'll hit it in August. I'll be happy to discuss it again. Just remind me, okay? So there is something I wanted to bring up relatively quickly, just some bookkeeping things here. It's sort of an informal question right now. You might not have a choice, actually, but I do want to have your thoughts regardless. Regarding 7.62 gas gun testing, please be thinking about what host you would find appropriate. I'm thinking probably a Knights Armament M110, like an SR25 platform. I think maybe we just bite the bullet and standardize on the 16-inch SR25. Okay, when you really think about it, and let's forget about like aesthetics and fun time. We're probably not going to do a SCAR for a standardized host. It's not as widely adopted. It doesn't make sense. I don't think it makes sense for data utility. I think getting another barrel length and a super common platform for the military. I think the SR25 pattern gun makes sense. It's in so much use everywhere. It's not set in stone. Do not think this isn't like 14.5-inch mid status where that's selected. No, for 5.56. This is something I was talking about with someone today. It's something that I might need to use for a contract. I might need to use this. I might need to do it. If I'm going to do it, I'm thinking, you know what? Maybe this would be good for PEW Science and the public. Just let me know what you think. Okay? I might need to do it relatively soon. So if you have input, share it with me. Share it now. If you hear this and you have input and you don't share it, well, that doesn't help. So share it, okay? What else was I going to tell you about recently? I told you about I tested some crazy stuff. Sorry you can't know. Impossible for me to tell you. What else? Yeah, I'm trying to give you updates because I'm going to be gone for a week. I think that's it. I just want to say thank you all for your support. PEW Science is growing a lot. Making sure you guys get the information you need and the information you want. It's my primary mission. Okay, this is hard. So I want to thank you from the bottom of my heart, sincerely, for your support. Thank you for the understanding that I do need time off. There are some pretty neat things to show you that this year. I think it's going to continue to have some bangers. I do need some time with my family, so I'm taking off. I'm going to return in August. Have a great rest of your July. Please be safe. Do cool stuff. Have fun. Shoot awesome silencers. I'll be back before you know it. Make your silencer article wish lists. Okay? Send them my way. Okay? Take care, folks. I'll talk with you folks again soon. All right, bye.